Hello and welcome. I'm Sarah, your host for this week's episode of the Sundance College podcast. Tune in each week for our latest industry insights, career advice, and student tips. At Sundance, we are a group of caring professionals dedicated to our students' success. Together, we work towards one common goal, supporting our students on their journey to a new career and a brighter future. And today, we have an exciting episode for you. We'll be discussing educational assistant interview questions with tips to answer. Preparing for an educational assistant job interview is your chance to demonstrate how your skills and experiences meet the role's requirements while sharing your passion for supporting students and teachers. To succeed, it's essential to understand the school's expectations, articulate how you can make a difference, and present yourself with clarity and purpose. This podcast offers practical tips, common questions, and sample answers to guide you through your interview preparation. Tips to prepare for an education assistant job interview. A job interview is your opportunity to prove that you're the ideal candidate for the role. Here are some tips on how to prepare for an educational assistant interview. Research the school. Understand the school's values and teaching methods and programs to align your skills with their needs. Understand the role. Having a thorough understanding of the role you're interviewing for is one of the most important things you can do to prepare. As Joanna M., Education Assistant Instructor at Sundance College, highlights, understanding the specific expectations of the role helps you demonstrate how your skills can positively impact both students and the school. Review the job description and consider how your experience aligns with responsibilities like classroom support, lesson planning, and promoting student success. Brush up on basics. To stand out in your interview, it's important to show a well-rounded understanding of both foundational and current educational priorities. Stay informed on important topics like 21st century learning, the 3 E's framework for student learning, and truth and reconciliation in Indigenous education. Joanna emphasizes that being knowledgeable about these areas reflects your commitment to understanding key educational priorities and supporting diverse student needs. In addition, refresh your knowledge of educational practices, child development stages, and the curriculum for the grade or subject you'll support. Highlight relevant experience. Share examples of your work in education or with children, highlighting situations where you effectively use teamwork, communication, and problem-solving skills. Anticipate questions. Practice responses to questions on behavior management, supporting diverse learners, and collaborating with teachers to convey your expertise. Ask insightful questions. Show your interest by asking about teaching approaches, expectations, and opportunities for growth. Stay composed and engaged. If you're feeling nervous, take a moment to breathe and focus. Speak clearly, make eye contact, and approach the interview as a conversation. Joanna concludes with the advice, an interview isn't about using buzzwords or following trends, but about showing your genuine dedication to growing as a professional and supporting students in achieving their success. With these interview tips, you'll be ready to make a strong case for your suitability for the role. Most common educational assistant interview questions. In an interview, you'll likely encounter questions designed to assess your skills, experience, and approach to the role. Examples include 1. What motivated you to become an educational assistant, and what strengths do you bring? 2. How do you support teachers in implementing education plans? 3. What strategies do you use to build an inclusive classroom environment? 4. How do you handle behavioral challenges or conflicts? 5. How do you deal with sensitive information and situations involving students or families? 6. What role does technology play in your work, and how do you incorporate it? 7. How do you provide emotional support to students? 8. How do you manage multiple responsibilities while supporting various students? 9. Can you share an experience working with students who have diverse learning needs? 10. What steps do you take to communicate clearly with teachers and families? Tips to answer. Common educational assistant interview questions. Interviews can feel daunting, but having clear and thoughtful answers can help you stand out. Below are tips and sample responses to present your abilities and experiences in line with the questions asked. What motivated you to become an educational assistant, and what strengths do you bring? Tips to answer. Share what inspired you to pursue this role and highlight key skills or experiences that make you a good fit. Sample answer. I've always wanted to work in a role where I can support children's growth, and becoming an educational assistant felt like the perfect fit. My strengths include patience, organization, and finding creative ways to make learning enjoyable. During my practicum, for example, I used interactive tools like flashcards and simple games to keep students engaged and help them understand new concepts more easily. How do you support teachers in implementing education plans? Tips to answer. Highlight your role in adapting materials, assisting in lessons, and ensuring accommodation is implemented. Sample answer. I support teachers by working closely with students to implement the plans they've created. I help by explaining instructions clearly, walking around to check on students' progress, and encouraging participation by asking questions or offering guidance when needed. I also monitor how students are responding to the lesson and share feedback with the teacher to make adjustments if needed. What strategies do you use to build an inclusive classroom environment? Tips to answer. Talk about how you make sure everyone feels welcome and included. Sample answer. I use different teaching methods to make sure all students feel included, like group work, hands-on activities, and visuals. For example, I've paired students together for activities, which helped shy kids feel more comfortable and included in the classroom. How do you handle behavioral challenges or conflicts? Tips to answer. Explain how you stay calm and help students find solutions. Sample answer. I stay calm and focus on what's causing the behavior. If a student is upset, I'll talk to them privately to understand what's going on. For example, I once had a student who would get frustrated during group projects because they felt overwhelmed by too many tasks. After understanding their concerns, I assigned them a specific role they felt confident in, like being the group organizer. This gave them a sense of control and helped them contribute successfully. How do you deal with sensitive information and situations with students or families? Tips to answer. Share how you handle these situations respectfully and follow protocols. Sample answer. I always make sure I'm following the school's policies when dealing with sensitive information. In addition, I also make sure any conversations with families are private and respectful, so they feel comfortable. What role does technology play in your work, and how do you incorporate it? Tips to answer. Talk about how you use technology to make learning easier and more fun. Sample answer. Technology is a great way to keep students interested. I've used apps to help with math practice and tools like digital whiteboards to explain tricky concepts visually. It makes lessons more interactive, and the students love it. How do you provide emotional support to students? Tips to answer. Talk about how you build trust, show empathy, and help students overcome challenges. Sample answer. I make an effort to notice when a student is feeling down or overwhelmed and check in with them individually. For instance, one student was feeling anxious about a presentation in front of the class. I reassured them that it's okay to feel nervous and offered to practice the presentation with them beforehand. By giving them a safe space to prepare and encouraging them along the way, they felt more confident when it was time to present. How do you manage multiple responsibilities while supporting various students? Tips to answer. Explain how you stay organized and adaptable. Sample answer. I stay organized by planning for the day and prioritizing tasks based on what's most important. For example, I'll start with students who need more one-on-one help, then check in with others as they work independently. Being flexible really helps when things don't go as planned. Can you share an experience working with students who have diverse learning needs? Tips to answer. Provide a specific example of working with students with varying abilities and explain how you supported their learning. Sample answer. During my practicum, I supported a student on the autism spectrum who struggled with transitions between lessons. I worked closely with the teacher to create a visual schedule and used verbal cues to prepare the student for changes in activities. These strategies helped reduce their anxiety and made the transition smoother, allowing them to stay focused and more engaged throughout the day. What steps do you take to communicate clearly with teachers and families? Tips to answer. Share how you keep communication open and clear. Sample answer. I maintain regular communication by sharing detailed progress updates with teachers and families. For example, I use email and parent-teacher meetings to discuss a student's achievements and any areas of concern. This open dialogue helps everyone stay on the same page and provides the necessary support for the student's growth. Questions to ask at the end of the interview. Asking thoughtful questions at the end of the interview not only shows your interest in the role, but also gives you a better understanding of the school's expectations and support systems. Here are some examples to consider. What is the typical classroom setup, and how does an education assistant support it? This shows your interest in understanding the role and expectations in the classroom. Are there specific challenges education assistants face here, and how does the school provide support? This question reflects your readiness to tackle obstacles and learn about the school's support system. Are there opportunities for professional development and career growth? A key factor to look for in an employer is opportunities for growth. Asking about them in an interview shows your commitment to advancing within the organization. Can you share an example of successful teamwork between an education assistant and a teacher? This highlights your focus on teamwork and your interest in cultivating strong working relationships. What are your expectations for an education assistant who aims to stay long-term? This helps clarify expectations and demonstrates your intention to establish a lasting career with the school. Common mistakes to avoid during educational assistant interview. Avoiding common mistakes can significantly boost your chances of success. Here are some key missteps to watch for and tips to help you approach the interview. 1. Not researching the school. Failing to learn about the school's mission, values, and culture can make you seem unprepared. Review their website, social media, and programs to show genuine interest and alignment with their goals. 2. Giving generic answers. Avoid vague responses by using specific examples that showcase your skills and impact. Structure your answers with the STAR method, situation and task and action and result, to make them clear and compelling. 3. Hiding your personality. Being overly formal or reserved can make you seem indifferent. Show enthusiasm, smile, and express your passion for education to demonstrate you're a good fit for the school's culture. 4. Not asking questions. Failing to ask thoughtful questions can signal a lack of engagement. Inquire about the school's vision, challenges, or support for staff to show interest and initiative. 5. Skipping the follow-up. Not following up after the interview can leave a poor impression. Send a thank you email within 24 hours to express gratitude, reaffirm your interest, and inquire about next steps. Landing an educational assistant role requires the right education, skills, thoughtful preparation, and a proactive mindset. Sundance College's Education Assistant Diploma provides the practical training and knowledge you need to pursue this rewarding career. By applying the strategies shared in this blog alongside what you've gained from the program, you'll be ready to approach your interview and highlight how you can contribute to a supportive and inclusive classroom environment. As Joanna emphasizes, one of the most rewarding parts of being an educator is getting to see your students achieving and thriving, and knowing you played a role in that. That brings us to the end of this week's episode of the Sundance College podcast. Thank you for listening, and please check back next week for more of the latest industry insights, career advice, and student tips. Sundance College, where our mission is student success.